evening, wherever you are in the world. I want you to lean in and listen closely, because what I'm about to share with you can change your life. Not tomorrow, not next year, but right now. Let me say this loud and clear. You are only as strong as the people you surround yourself with. Let me ask you a question. Who's in your circle? Who are the 5 voices you hear the most? Are they pushing you to rise or pulling you down? You see, when I was struggling, broken, and feeling like I had nothing to offer, I realized something powerful. I wasn't failing because I didn't have potential. I wasn't losing because I didn't have talent. I was sinking because I was surrounded by mediocrity. And guess what happens when you hang around mediocrity long enough? It starts to feel normal. You hear people say, "Why try so hard?" You hear, "Nobody makes it big where we come from." You hear, "Be realistic." And that starts to sink into your spirit. But let me tell you something. Greatness is not found in the comfort zone. Greatness is forged in discomfort, in growth, in discipline. Greatness is contagious, but so is average. And you have to choose which one you're going to catch. You see, if you're hanging out with people who don't dream, who don't read, who don't stretch, who don't grind, guess what? They're not just wasting their time, they're wasting yours. And I know you didn't come into this life to play small. You were born with purpose. You were born with gifts. But you'll never activate that power if you keep planting your seed in the wrong soil. Let me tell you a story. There was a young eagle who fell from the nest. A farmer found him and raised him in a chicken coop. The eagle grew up thinking he was a chicken. He scratched the dirt. He flapped his wings, but never flew. He lived and died like a chicken. Why? Because he never saw another eagle fly. Let that sink in. Who you watch, who you listen to, who you walk with, it matters. If you're not around eagles, you will forget how to fly. That's why you have to surround yourself with greatness. People who see more in you than you see in yourself. People who challenge you, stretch you, correct you, not because they hate you, but because they believe in what you can become. Find those people, stick with those people, honor those people, because they will save you from wasting your life. Let me break it down for you. If you want to be rich, hang around people who talk wealth, not people who talk wages. If you want to be fit, hang around people who train like their life depends on it. If you want to grow spiritually, walk with people who pray harder than they complain. The energy around you is either fuel or poison. Every conversation is either planting seeds or pulling weeds. You need people in your life who speak life into your dreams, not death. And yes, sometimes that means letting go of people you love. Sometimes it means saying goodbye to people you grew up with. Because here's the truth. Some people are part of your history, but they don't belong in your destiny. That's not being cold. That's being clear. Clear about where you're going, clear about who you want to become, and clear that the price of greatness is choice. You've got to choose to surround yourself with people who make you uncomfortable in a good way. The kind of discomfort that says you could do more, you could be better. That excuse you keep using, it's not valid anymore. Great people will challenge your habits, your mindset, your laziness, and your fears. They don't let you settle for what's easy. They push you toward what's necessary. And let me tell you something. When you walk with giants, you don't walk the same. You start to talk differently, think differently, move differently, because greatness rubs off. Excellence leaves a residue. When you surround yourself with greatness, you don't have to pretend to be strong. You'll start to feel strong. So today, I challenge you, do an audit of your environment. Take inventory of the voices in your life. Ask yourself, are they building me up or breaking me down? Because life is too short to spend with people who don't inspire you. Life is too precious to give to people who don't respect your vision. You weren't made to blend in. You were made to stand out. And standing out requires courage. It requires you to say, I love you, but I can't stay here with you. I care about you, but I'm climbing higher. I wish you well, but I'm chasing greatness. This is your time. This is your season. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for validation. Surround yourself with greatness and become great. Not just for you, but for your family, for your children, for everyone watching your story. Let them say, that person came from nothing, but look where they ended up. They walked with the wise and they became one of the greats. Because here's the truth. You are one decision away from a new life. And that decision might just be who you walk with. So walk with lions, fly with eagles, run with warriors, and leave behind the voices that keep you grounded. Because you, yes, you were born to soar. Think about that. Let it sink in. It's not just a clever quote or a catchy phrase. It's a truth that will shape your entire life if you let it. The people you surround yourself with are mirrors, reflecting back to you your beliefs, your standards, your habits, and even your limits. If you walk into a room full of pessimists, don't be surprised when your optimism starts to fade. If you spend every day with people who play small, who complain, who blame, and who never grow, it becomes harder and harder for you to think big, take responsibility, and push yourself toward more. The energy of your environment pulls at you. It shapes your mood. It affects your mindset, and it influences your choices more than you realize. We like to think we're independent, that we make our own way, that we rise by sheer will and discipline. But the truth is, nobody rises alone. Nobody becomes excellent in isolation, and nobody stays strong surrounded by weakness. You rise with people who rise, and you grow with people who grow. Look around at your circle. Look at who you spend the most time with. Are they driven? Are they focused? Are they ambitious? Do they challenge you to be better, or do they keep you stuck in comfort and convenience? If you're always the smartest, the strongest, the most motivated person in the room, you're in the wrong room, because true growth happens when you're pushed, when you're stretched, when you're challenged to reach higher than you ever have before. That won't come from people who are content with average. It comes from those who demand more of themselves and of you. Success leaves clues. And one of the biggest clues is this. Successful people surround themselves with other successful people. Champions train with champions. Leaders learn from leaders. Winners watch how winners win. Because greatness sharpens greatness. Iron sharpens iron. If you want to elevate your life, elevate your environment. If you want to be more, you've got to be around more. We all become products of proximity. Just like iron rusts in the wrong environment, your dreams, your drive, and your discipline can corrode in the wrong company. But when you're around people who think big, act bold, and move with purpose, you can't help but level up. Their conversations feed your ambition. Their hustle reminds you of your own. Their presence forces you to play at a higher level. That's the power of proximity. And here's what's real. Sometimes the people closest to you won't support your growth. Not because they don't love you, but because they're afraid of losing the version of you they're comfortable with. But you weren't born to make people comfortable. You were born to rise. You were born to stretch. You were born to lead. And sometimes that means walking away from circles that no longer serve your future. Choosing your circle isn't about arrogance. It's about alignment. If you want to run a marathon, you don't train with people who give up at mile 2. If you want to build wealth, you don't take advice from people who've only known struggle. If you want to grow spiritually, you don't walk with people who only know the surface. Your life will reflect your relationships. Every time you can't soar like an eagle when you keep nesting with chickens. You can't dream big when everyone around you thinks small. You can't lead a powerful life if your circle is built on fear, doubt, and excuses. And you cannot, will not become your best self until you make the hard, intentional choice to surround yourself with people who bring out the best in you. Every day, whether we realize it or not, we are absorbing the behaviors, beliefs, and energy of the people around us. Like a sponge in water, we soak in the environment we're placed in. And just like a contagious illness spreads without warning, mediocrity can spread in silence. You won't always see it, but you'll feel it. It's in the language people use, the effort they give, the goals they set or refuse to set. It's in their attitudes, their excuses, and their lack of urgency. When you spend time around people who have given up on their dreams, who have settled for less, who have decided that good enough is good enough, that starts to seep into your soul. You start lowering your standards. You stop asking for more. You stop stretching. You stop growing. It's subtle. It doesn't hit you all at once. It's not a thunderstorm. It's a slow, quiet fog that dims your vision and drains your fire. But the opposite is also true. Greatness is just as contagious, just as powerful, and even more energizing. When you walk into a room full of people who are committed to excellence, who are striving for mastery, who are hungry for growth, you feel it. It hits you. It awakens something in you. It challenges your complacency. It pulls you out of average and into action. Greatness forces you to level up, whether you feel ready or not. When someone in your circle is grinding day in and day out, you can't help but reflect on your own effort. When they're reading, learning, growing, executing, you begin to ask yourself, what more could I be doing? It's not competition. It's inspiration. It's accountability. It's that fire that reminds you that you're capable of more and there's no excuse not to reach for it. Think of it like a thermostat. Mediocre people bring the temperature of the room down. They like it cool, safe, and comfortable. But people of greatness, they raise the heat. They make the room hotter. They make everyone uncomfortable with average. And that's a gift because growth never happens in comfort. Growth happens when someone shows you the gap between where you are and where you could be and then dares you to close it. That's why it's so important to choose wisely. Your friends, your mentors, your team, they're either pulling you forward or holding you back. There is no neutral. Every person you allow into your daily life is either adding fuel to your flame or pouring water on it. You have to make a choice every day about what energy you want to absorb and what energy you refuse to tolerate. We've all met people who are talented but stuck, people with potential but no progress. And 9 times out of 10, it's not a lack of ability, it's the presence of mediocrity in their environment. They're trying to soar with wings clipped by people who don't want to leave the ground. They're trying to chase dreams while surrounded by voices saying, it's not worth it, or that's too hard, or why not just be comfortable? But when you get around people of greatness, everything changes. Their standards challenge your excuses. Their focus highlights your distractions. Their resilience silences your complaints. They don't let you get away with sloppiness, laziness, or self-pity. They raise the bar. And if you stay long enough, you'll rise to meet it. Because greatness isn't just about what you do. It's about what you absorb. It's about the atmosphere you breathe in, the conversations you engage in, the energy that surrounds you day after day. Every person has habits. Every group has patterns. And every circle you belong to has an energy that either pulls you forward or keeps you locked in place. You can have dreams the size of mountains. You can have the vision, the talent, the drive. But if the people closest to you are stuck in loops of comfort, fear, and complacency, that gravitational pull will keep you circling the same life, the same results, the same cycles are invisible until you name them. They show up as routines you don't question, beliefs you don't challenge, and outcomes you've accepted as normal. You start to believe that this is just how life is. You settle into a rhythm, not because it's right, but because it's familiar. And more often than not, those rhythms were learned from the people around you. Family, friends, co-workers, people you care about, but people who might not be going where you want to go. Your environment programs your expectations. If no one in your circle has ever broken through a financial ceiling, guess what you believe is possible? If no one around you values health, learning, or growth, you'll start to see those things as luxuries instead of necessities. It's not that you don't want better, it's that your standard is being set by the lowest common denominator in your circle. And when that standard is low, you stay stuck repeating the same cycles, just with different days. But when you make the decision to elevate your circle, you start to break free from the loop. You stop accepting excuses and start demanding excellence. You stop tolerating lazy conversations and start seeking out people who speak with purpose. You stop surrounding yourself with people who talk about others and start walking with people who talk about ideas, about growth, about action. Elevation is not about ego. It's about energy. Who energizes you? Who makes you think? Who makes you uncomfortable in the best way? Who challenges you to reevaluate your habits, your mindset, your assumptions? These are the people who help you escape the cycles that have kept you stagnant for years. Some people will tell you you've changed, and you have. Because elevation requires transformation. You cannot rise and stay the same. You cannot elevate your life and keep your circle at ground level. That's not disloyalty. That's discipline. That's clarity. That's choosing growth over guilt. You begin to break the cycles of scarcity, of procrastination, of self-doubt. You begin to adopt new mentalities. Why not me? Why not now? Why not more? You start thinking long term. You start planning instead of just reacting. You stop surviving and start building. And that shift begins with who you give your time, your energy, and your attention to. Elevation is a decision that says, I will not continue the cycles I was born into. I will not normalize struggle when success is within reach. I will not repeat what's familiar just because others are afraid to grow. I will choose my circle with intention because my future depends on it. The higher you want to go, the tighter your circle must become. Not smaller in number, but stronger in mindset, vision, and action. Cycles break when new standards are introduced. And standards are raised when you elevate your circle. Not everyone who starts the journey with you is meant to finish it with you. There are people who walked with you in your early seasons, in your struggle, in your survival years, who played a real role in shaping who you became. They mattered. They meant something, but their place was for that chapter, not for the entire story. And when you try to drag people from your past into a future they're not built for, you don't just slow down, you sabotage your own growth. We hold on out of loyalty. We hold on out of nostalgia. We hold on because we're afraid of being alone. But there comes a time when you have to separate love from alignment. You can love someone and still outgrow them. You can care about someone deeply and still recognize that they no longer contribute to your growth, your peace, or your progress. Keeping people around out of emotional obligation may feel noble, but it keeps you grounded when you were meant to rise. There are voices that were once comforting that now only echo doubt. There are friendships that were once uplifting that now feel heavy. And there are people who once believed in you who can't see the version of you you're becoming. That's not because they're bad people. It's because their vision of you is based on who you used to be. They remember the old you, the unsure you, the uncertain you, the one who didn't know they had power. And they keep talking to that version, not the one who's growing into purpose. Sometimes people can't handle your growth because your elevation threatens their comfort. The moment you start dreaming bigger, they feel smaller. The moment you start taking action, they start projecting fear. And instead of supporting your evolution, they start questioning your ambition. You've changed, they'll say. But growth is change, and not everyone is ready to grow with you. You don't owe anyone your destiny. You don't owe anyone the right to ride along just because they've known you the longest. Longevity doesn't equal loyalty to your vision. You must learn to release with grace, to let go with love, to walk away without bitterness. That doesn't mean you erase them from your heart. It means you honor their role without forcing them into places they were never designed to occupy. We all have anchors in our lives. People who hold us back because they fear what our progress might mean for their own comfort zones. And if you're not careful, you'll start shrinking yourself to make them feel safe. You'll mute your voice, dim your light, and downplay your wins just to fit back into a mold you've already outgrown. That's not humility. That's self-betrayal. Your destiny requires space. Space for new relationships, new perspectives, and new energy. And as long as you're clinging to what was, you'll never fully embrace what's possible. You can't step into the future holding hands with everyone from your past. Some were meant to teach you, not travel with you. Some were meant to be lessons, not lifetime companions. And your responsibility is to discern the difference. This isn't about cutting people off out of arrogance or pride. It's about clarity. It's about alignment. It's about knowing that your mission is bigger than maintaining every connection you've ever made. Growth demands sacrifices. And sometimes the hardest one is letting go of someone you still care about, but no longer align with. The truth is, you can't take everyone where you're going. Some people are part of your history, not your destiny.